All right, future CPAs, we are back at it for episode 18 of the CPA Exam Guide podcast. Thank you again for being a loyal listener, and I'm very excited because I'm hoping to finish 2020 strong with a lot of new podcast episodes, which I've been doing a very poor job of keeping up to date. But today, or actually this week, is a very special week for me because 10 years ago this week, I passed the CPA exam. So I've been reflecting a lot on everything that's happened over the past 10 years, and I came up with 10 lessons that I really think anyone who hasn't passed a CPA exam needs to learn before diving into this process. And I hope that these lessons will kind of change your perspective on the exam, the industry as a whole, and the prospects of what passing the CPA exam could do for your career. So before we get started, today's episode is sponsored by a very cool website. It's called CPAExamMentor.com. It's a great place to go if you need a CPA exam mentor. So somebody to teach you how to study, how to help you make more time to study, how to grasp the material that you're studying, and much more. So there's no opt-in or anything like that. It's a series of videos that you can watch that will teach you what's called the U.C.E.G method. This is the same method that I used to pass the CPA exam and have been teaching to CPA candidates since 2015. So check it out, CPAExamMentor.com. I know you won't regret it. All right, so let's dive into the 10 lessons that are going to change your perspective on the accounting industry, the CPA exam, and what it means for you. Let's dive in. My name is Brian Kessler, and I help smart accountants pass the CPA exam no matter how busy they are. My ultimate goal is to get you from stressed to performing at your best, no matter what CPA review course you're using. Welcome to Ultimate CPA Exam Guide. All right, future CPA, so let me set the stage for you. So 10 years ago this week, I was bored silly at my job. It was kind of a dead-end accounting job, and I was doing everything in my power to pass the CPA exam because I knew I wanted something better. I wanted to get out of my dead-end position and do something with my career. So what was the situation? Well, I was sitting there in my cubicle hitting refresh because back 10 years ago, we didn't have Twitter to let us know when our scores were going to be released. So I was sitting there, not working at all, just staring at my NASBA screen, refreshing the screen, waiting for my scores to appear. My passing score appeared. I was finally a CPA after 2.5 years, after 7 failures, after losing my job, finding a new job, finding a girlfriend while unemployed, and it was all over. I had passed the CPA exam. My ultimate goal was finally over, and I just shot through the ceiling tiles like a rocket. I ran over to Sharon, gave her a huge hug, then I was just shaking. I was so excited and just running laps around the cubicle farm, just giving everyone a high five. And it was one of the most defining moments of my life. It's something that I'll never forget. And you know, it seems like yesterday, but 10 years is a long time. And I've done so much with my career over 10 years and learned a lot. And I really wanted to share 10 lessons with you that I've learned. And so let's dive in. So I guess lesson number one is that the CPA exam, it's so much more than just an intelligence exam. So yes, to pass the CPA exam, you have to be fairly intelligent, but in order to even be eligible to sit for the CPA exam, you have to hit those education requirements, which to even hit those means that, you know, you have the intelligence to pass the CPA exam. So if you're somebody who has 120, 150 credit hours, then you are absolutely smart enough to pass the CPA exam. And here's what the CPA exam is all about. So when you pass the CPA exam, it's automatic proof to the world, to employers, to your friends, to your acquaintances, that you have extreme persistence and drive. So the fact that you were able to sit down and pass all 4 sections of the CPA exam, that means that you are somebody who is focused and motivated and gets the job done. So that's what is so valuable about the CPA exam and really separates you from the non-accountants that are out there, or the non-CPA accountants that are out there. Because when an employer looks at your resume and sees that you pass the CPA exam, they know that you're capable of accomplishing an amazing feat. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned from the CPA exam, and is something that I truly believe is the reason that I'm a successful CPA exam mentor today, because It opened my mind to what it takes to succeed in my career, and to just take control of each job that I've had since I've passed the CPA exam. So lesson number 2, it's, becoming a CPA is absolutely about freedom. So there's freedom to fast track your career, freedom to change careers into something completely different, freedom to help the people that you really want to help, or freedom to keep doing what you're doing if you really enjoy it. So to me, passing the CPA exam is about job security. It's about figuring out what I want to do and then getting there a whole lot faster because I have a CPA. So yes, I could have stayed a non-CPA and stayed at my dead-end job and eventually become vice president or manager or whatnot, but it would have taken me a whole lot longer, and I wouldn't have made nearly as much money as I have had I stayed a non-accountant. So when I passed the CPA exam, I jumped into public accounting and put in a couple years there, got a lot of experience, got a PwC on my resume. Then I jumped back into private, working 40 hours a week. Then I started helping people pass the CPA exam, and it just all kind of happened, all because I passed the CPA exam. So that's lesson number 2. So lesson number 3, I learned very quickly after failing 7 sections of the CPA exam that failure is not the end. And this is something that accountants just are not accustomed to experiencing. So typically we're overachievers. We typically don't fail any classes in college. So failure is just something that we're not accustomed to. And what really transformed my mindset over pretty much everything is that failure is really just a method of discovering what works and what doesn't work. And I've applied that philosophy to nearly everything in my life. And it's if I find something that doesn't work, I'll just step back and be like, all right, why didn't that work? And then I'll try to do something better. And then also look and see what did work, and then double down on that the next time around. So that was one of the biggest things that I learned from the CPA exam process, is to never give up and use failure as motivation for just constantly improving and doubling down on what is working. So lesson number 4 is the CPA exam is the hardest exam you will ever take. And trust me, it is all downhill from here. So I got my concealed carry recently, and I had to take an exam for that. So I started stressing out about that, and then it ended up being one of the easier exams possible compared to the CPA exam, of course. And just all sorts of little exams that are out there, and nothing compares to the CPA exam. So it's all downhill after you've passed the CPA exam. So lesson number 5, and this is more of a non-tangible lesson, but it's just something that was so instrumental in my life, and it was much bigger than just the CPA exam, but the CPA exam was the catalyst for this event. So the lesson number 5 is to focus. You can't forget what is most important in your life. So when I was studying for the CPA exam, I was fresh out of college. Didn't have a girlfriend, and was living alone in a big city. So this was the first time I had ever moved to a city where I only knew a couple people, and they were just as busy as I was. So basically I was living alone in a big city. So what I ended up doing was I made the CPA exam the center of my life. And so it was the only thing that I thought about other than my brand new job. And when I failed, it nearly destroyed me. So my mental mindset got destroyed. And, it was because I had made the CPA exam the center of my life. It was the only thing that mattered to me. And, I kept failing. So I failed 5 sections in a row. And then thankfully, I ended up losing my first job due to the Great Recession back in 2009. And so my entire world had essentially crumbled in the matter of 6 months after I had graduated, or 9 months, I guess. 9 months after, everything fell apart. And so I was sitting there unemployed and failing the CPA exam. And then out of nowhere, I met this gal online who ended up becoming my wife after I passed the CPA exam. And so finding a girlfriend while unemployed at one of the darkest times in my life was very instrumental in just transitioning from, okay, what is actually important in my life, and where does the CPA exam fit in my life? And so, not only did I also meet my wife, but I also found my way back into a church. And so I grew up in the church, but in college I kind of wasn't a consistent churchgoer and stuff like that. And I also found a lot of purpose in that. So I don't know if you're religious or not, but I highly recommend that you search out, find something that you can focus on that is bigger than yourself. And so for me, being part of a church, understanding what is the purpose of life and so forth, and really getting in touch with your spiritual side is definitely something that was very instrumental in helping me focus and figure out what is most important in my life. And so basically, once I kind of reshifted my focus, I was like, all right, so there's the CPA exam, there is my relationship with God, there is my potential future family because I have this girlfriend now, and then there's my career and all these other little things that didn't really matter, like hobbies and going to Cardinal baseball games and so forth. So when I really sat down and did a life audit of myself, I kind of figured out, all right, well, here's the CPA exam. Here's what's less important. Here's what's more important. Let me make my study goals based on my time being spent on things that are more important than the CPA exam. So, in order to spend time with my girlfriend on the weekend, I really have to complete this study goal and so forth. So, when I kind of recentered myself around the CPA exam, like the CPA exam was still kind of the center, but then there were things that I would absolutely do that were more important than studying. So that's a big mistake that I see a lot of CPA candidates making, is that they make family less important than the CPA exam. They make taking care of themselves less important than becoming a CPA. And it's just kind of backwards. So you really need to assess where you are, where is your focus, and then anything that's more important than the CPA, use that as motivation for getting studying done. And then, but you can also use your hobbies as motivation for getting studying done, because it is important to reward yourself as well. So very, very important lesson number 5 there. So lesson number 6 is to do everything you can to savor the moment you pass the CPA exam. And again, I shared my brief story, but trust me, it is a moment that you will never forget. And it's just as much of a core memory as the moment when I married my wife, the moments when I witnessed my 2 beautiful children being born. So it is just prepare for that moment and make sure that you do savor it. Lesson number 7. And this is something, being married to a non-accountant, non-accountants will just never understand what you went through to pass the CPA exam or what you're going through. So it is important to get the people in your life involved, so the people that you see on a daily basis. And I call these folks the accountability partners. But again, just really, you need to communication is everything with these people, because they don't get where you're going through. They don't understand the sacrifices that you have to make in order to pass this exam. And you just need to remind them of the future benefits and why you have to pass this exam. And so it was somewhat difficult explaining this, but if you go back to, I believe it's episode 4, I actually interviewed Rachel. This was a couple of years ago, but it's a great conversation that we had about what it was like to date me while studying for the CPA exam. So if you're struggling with your significant other or friends and family just not getting what you're going through, you might want to listen or send them a link to episode number 4 of the podcast, and help them put in perspective what you're going through. Let's see. Lesson number 8 here is passing the CPA exam. It isn't about the tools that you use, but how you use them. So again, most of these CPA review courses that are out there, they all teach you the same material. They all use the same questions. The primary differences are in the explanations that they have for each question, and also the technology that's kind of built into the program. So what really matters, and I've now mentored over 1,000 CPA candidates, is that it's not necessarily the tools that you use, but how you use them, what your mental state is, and what kind of support you have surrounding you. So again, who are your accountability partners? Who are your CPA exam mentors? And then what is your motivation? What is the primary driver for you to passing this exam? So when you have a CPA review course and you have your mental mindset in check, and you have a support team, and you have the accountability around you, and plus the motivation to get this thing done, that's when you're going to be most likely to be successful on this exam. And I've seen it happen over and over and over. And that's my primary goal, is to help you get all of these resources in sync so that you can quickly get this thing behind you. But at the end of the day, it is on you to put in the work to get this thing done. So there's a ton of information in the CPA review course. So you need to focus on educating yourself on how to study. And then you also have to be proactive in finding those people to support you as well. All right, lesson number 9 is, you really don't try to become a CPA by yourself. So that's what I did. I was very secretive about this whole CPA exam operation that I was going in covert on. And trust me, isolation is not the way. So I was embarrassed when I failed, and I let my ego get in the way, and it prevented me from building a support team around me. It really hampered my motivation. And again, I had made the CPA exam the center of my life, and when I failed, it completely shattered everything. So, please don't allow yourself to become isolated. That's why you need the accountability group around you. Okay, and then finally, the big lesson number 10. And this is something that I wish I had so many resources around me, and I didn't do this, and I'm kicking myself in the butt every single day. But lesson number 10, you don't have to recreate the wheel when attempting to pass a CPA exam. So you really need to find someone who has passed a CPA exam and just leverage their experience to really flatten your learning curve on this exam. So there are a lot of resources that are out there. There's a lot on YouTube and blogs and forums and so forth. It takes a lot of time to find the good research, because there is a lot of bad advice out there as well. So if you know somebody personally who has passed a CPA exam, take them out to lunch. Obviously, CPAexammentor.com. That would be a good place to go to learn a proven method to pass the CPA exam. And it can help you prevent you from recreating the wheel, because we have figured out how to help people of all different backgrounds pass this exam, no matter what CPA review course they're using. So again, lots of resources out there, but you don't have to recreate the wheel. And in fact, it hurts you to try and do this. So I ended up wasting 6 months of my life because I made very poor decisions, because I didn't have anyone there to tell me I was making poor decisions, because I was just jumping into this thing blind without doing any research, which was, again, all my fault. And it's something that I just kick myself in the butt over every single day. So that's the 10 lessons. And so it really, passing the CPA exam, it 100% changed my life. I don't know where I would be without my CPA license. And anyone who tells you that there's no value anymore in the CPA license is lying or is severely misguided. So, trust me when I tell you that the CPA exam is so much more than just an intelligence exam. Again, it's that automatic proof to the entire world of your persistence and your drive. So if you're trying to get a new job, when you put CPA on your resume, people know what you're capable of and are definitely going to be more interested in working with you over somebody who is not a CPA. So I had a great time putting together these 10 lessons. I really hope that you found a lot of value in them. And if you'd like to work with me, CPAexammentor.com is the best place to go. If you're curious in learning how to learn, how you learn, and then how to apply that to the CPA exam, I do have what's called a study personality quiz that you can take, 100% free. You can go to freecpaquiz.com. Check that out. Just fill out the study personality quiz, and then tell us where to email your report, and then it will be instantly in your inbox, which is pretty awesome. And then if you are in the market for buying a CPA review course, you can head to U.C.E.G market.com, U.C.E.G.market.com, and I actually bundle with Roger CPA Review, Wiley CPA Excel, Gleim, and Jaeger CPA Review right now, and you can save a couple $100 by investing in my mentorship program, Ultimate CPA Exam Guide, and their study materials at the same time. So when you bundle, you save. So head over to UCEGmarket.com and check all that out if you're in the market for a CPA recourse. So thank you again for watching. My name again is Brian Kessler, and I am a licensed CPA for the past 10 years, and I've learned a lot, and I've really enjoyed having you guys as listeners, and I appreciate you every single day. So hope you have a good one, and I'll catch up with you in the next episode.